There's an old legend about Jeff Bezos. It's Christmas time, and the Amazon contact center can get really busy. And Jeff knows that, and he wants to find out what is happening in the Amazon contact center. So he decides to host an executive meeting and pull in his head of customer service, Bob. So he brings his 30 top executives into a big meeting room, including Bob, and they all sit around a big round conference table. Jeff puts Bob on the spot and says, "Hey, Bob, how long does it take for a customer to reach the Amazon contact center?" And Bob doesn't know. But you don't tell your boss, Jeff Bezos, that you don't know the answer. So Bob lies. He says, "Well, Jeff, I think it's under a minute." Jeff says, "Great, let's see." He takes out his smartphone. He dials the number for 1-800 Amazon customer service. He puts that thing on speaker, and 30 executives, including Jeff and Bob, sit around, and they wait. But 1 minute passes by, and no one picks up the phone. 2 minutes pass by, and the executives are starting to make eye contact with each other, and they're fidgeting in their seat, and everyone is a little uncomfortable, and they're thinking, what is going on here? 3 minutes pass by, and Bob's face has turned a dark shade of beet red. Drips of sweat are falling off his forehead onto the floor. Jeff Bezos' face is also beet red because he's getting pretty angry at this point. 4.5 minutes pass by before someone picks up the phone. "Hello, this is Amazon customer service. How may I help you?" Jeff hangs up the phone. Not long after this meeting, Bob gets a seat on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket ship up to Mars, and no one ever hears from Bob ever again. All right, that's not necessarily true, but not long after this meeting, Bob no longer works at Amazon. And the reason I love this story so much is because on what planet does one of the richest people in the world, the most famous CEOs in the world, the most busy CEO in the world, care that much about customer service wait times? But that is what makes Jeff Bezos so successful, because he knows that the way we make people feel matters. And when he started Amazon, he knew that if he could just make people's lives easier and better, he would be different than any other business on the planet. Because today, the only way to differentiate your brand in this sea of sameness, because many of us today sell commodities, is through customer experience. Customer experience. You've probably never heard of Mel Fischer, but he is one of the greatest treasure hunters that ever lived. Mel was born in 1922 on a chicken farm. And as a little boy, he read stories of treasure hunters and pirates, and he was part of the greatest generation. He fought in World War II and survived the beaches of Normandy. And after surviving, he came back to the US and opened a dive shop in Los Angeles, California. And one day, a customer came through his doors, a diver from Key West, Florida, and said, "Mel, you're not going to believe what's happening in Key West. Everyone is searching for this shipwreck. And this shipwreck that sunk in 1622 has over $500 million of treasure, and it's sitting at the bottom of the ocean, and no one has found it yet." And Mel's curiosity was piqued. He couldn't forget this treasure. So he immediately closed the doors of his dive shop, and he moved to Key West, Florida, where he began a long journey of searching for this shipwreck. And diving for treasure, particularly in the 1960s and 70s, was really dangerous. You could die. You could get injured. And his story is not without tragedy. Mel settled down, got married, had 5 children, and enlisted the help of his children in his search for this shipwreck. But the eldest of his children, in the search for this ship, his boat capsized, and he died along with 2 other passengers. But Mel had a big spirit. He had a lot of energy, and he persevered, and every day he said, "Today is the day," because he truly believed that he would find that treasure. And for 16 years, every day he dove into that ocean off Key West, and he searched for that treasure. And finally, in 1985, he found the biggest shipwreck ever discovered according to the Guinness of World Records, the Nuestra de Atocha, with over $500 million of treasure. But his journey didn't stop there. The state of Florida said, "This treasure is ours." And Mel fought the state of Florida for this treasure for 8 years, the court case going all the way up to the Supreme Court, where to everyone's shock, the Supreme Court said, this treasure belongs to Mel Fischer. And Mel Fischer died in 1998, but if you go to Key West, Florida today, you can go visit his gallery and museum of all of the incredible bounty that he discovered. The reason I share this story with you is Mel Fischer could be described with one word: relentless. This guy was relentless, doing this hard thing that most people would never want to do in their lifetime. And the word relentless reminds me of Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos was fixated on the same word, relentless. And in 1994, he registered Amazon.com as relentless.com. And today, after this conference, if you search relentless.com, you will be forwarded to Amazon.com. Both of these individuals had the mindset for success. They both jumped up out of bed in the morning to do tedious, difficult things. Because I can guarantee you there are a million other things Jeff Bezos could be doing with his time than calling his own call center. But they know that caring about this minutia is, in fact, a treasure chest. And everybody in this room, all of you would love a treasure. What if I told you today that each and every one of you have access to your very own treasure chest? And what if I gave you a map, the coordinates, and the key? Well, I'm here to tell you each and every one of you have access to this treasure chest. But the treasure chest is a mindset. It's jumping up out of bed in the morning, excited to serve the customer. Most companies and executives don't get this very obvious advantage. You know how I know that? Because everyone in this room is a customer, and you can probably recount a terrible customer experience you had in the last 2 weeks. Because most companies and leaders do not build experiences with the customer in mind at every step. They are product-centric over being customer-centric.